At that point, we were just trying to shoot our 12 days of shooting and get the pilot done. And then I figured, and then this will get shoved in some drawer someplace, and I'll go back to the theater in Chicago, where I belong.
I think we had 12 days to shoot it, and I insisted on finding the time and the money to do Las Vegas for real. I didn't want to, make a show about Las Vegas and not go there. It's incredibly hard having to shoot so much stuff in such a short space of time. And there was a lot of characters, and there were a lot of storylines.
This was the first time I was a showrunner on a show that I hadn't developed it. It's a pilot, and there was a lot of responsibility, and I was just worried about doing a good job. It was afterwards that I realized what we had.
We knew collectively, without saying it out loud, that we're aiming to make feature television, really motion picture type footage inside of a television show, and really trying to replicate what Jerry Bruckheimer was doing in the theater onto television. So we were taking more chances and really just trying to get a different palette for what CBS was doing.
And we were very fortunate that CBS allowed us to keep pushing the envelope that way. And we had a lot of support from people at CBS.
We knew what we were seeing on film was very, very different. You don't really know if you have anything till you see it cut together. The way Danny was constructing the CSI shots, the way he was constructing the scenes in order to accommodate those shots, you could see the building blocks there.
The words were on the page, but this is a very visual show. You don't get really what CSI is until you see it, more than you read it.
We were in the middle of, okay, we have this, now how do we make it all work? And when we would go in with the editors, we were writing with them, they were writing with us. We were making it up as we went.
In terms of shooting it, it was, like I said, it was exciting. At times it was exhausting. At times it was frustrating. Overall, I just remember it being exciting and fun.
We still had to convince people, of course, that fingerprint dusting was really cool, because a lot of television executives were like, what are we going to do? We're going to watch people dust for fingerprints? No chases, no guns, what?
What the hell difference does it make? You ain't going to catch them. You never do.
You knew you had something special in the acting. You knew you had something really special. You knew that there was a lot of chemistry between Billy and Marg and the rest of the cast. You knew you had a director who had complete command of the medium, that he created something that was visually very stylish and interesting. Whether you knew it was a hit or not, if you'd asked me that, I would say, I don't have a clue. The only people who know is the audience. They understand what a hit show is, and they create the hits. We put it in front of them, and they say, this is something I want to watch.
When I gave the first cut over to everyone, within the show's small camp, there was a little concern that it was fast-paced and loud and a lot of music.
When I first watched the pilot, it was so different from anything that was on network TV. It had so many unique elements in it. I had to watch it a couple times to really know what we had.
Is there a grasshopper in here?
It was a tremendously creative idea and pilot, trying to fit onto a network channel. And they were seeing something they'd never seen.
But CBS actually responded really well. Their main concern was the blood factor.
Traditionally, what we did a pilot season, we would screen with Leslie, but his time was limited, and we ended up having to do it during lunch hour. But one of the cardinal rules is never screen during lunch.
So I'm eating a sandwich, and then all of a sudden I see the bugs crawling out of somebody's body. And I said, whoa, this is a little over the top in this area. I love the pilot. I thought it was spectacular. I love the acting. The direction was superb. Danny deserves a lot of credit for giving it its style, but I remember that reaction like I had to put down my sandwich and saying, wow, this is pretty graphic.
When we tested the show, we learned a lot from everybody, that they really appreciated the reality of it. It was hard to look away. It was hard to look at, but it was hard to look away because they realized we were doing something real and we were doing something researched. The characters were full of integrity and full of expertise, and the audience, even though it was tough to look at, were really responding to those people.
Concentrate on what cannot lie, the evidence.
We completed the pilot, and we had to find a staff. I needed another senior level experienced writer. I was a huge Ann Donahue fan. I loved all the shows she'd been on. I loved her writing. And I just felt in my gut that Ann was the right person to partner with Anthony and I. You sometimes get this feeling, you know, the little voice or whatever just tells you that's the person that you need to be in business with. And it was the right person, and it was perfect.
I came on board once it was finalized. It had been cut and shown to the network, and they had picked it up. But then we were making changes, and we had some reshoots. We were in the middle of, okay, we have this, now how do we make it all work?
And I didn't even know at the time if it was any good. I mean, I knew it was cool, but I didn't know if we could pull it off. Yeah! Careful, Bo, you'll hurt your back.
We knew we had something that this test audience responded to, and we knew that the people at the network really liked it.
And then they say, we're going to put it on the air. And then they say, you're going to be on Friday night. And people around me said, that's not good. Friday night's a bad night. Nobody's watching television. I don't understand this. I'm just thrilled that we were on television.
I remember being in a hotel room watching it at the Beverly Hills Hotel, making a big night of it. And it almost seemed fake. It was, you know, we watched the show before it, and then it was like, stay tuned for CSI, and you still don't think it's real. And then CSI was on, and it looked a little different. It was a little darker than I was used to. It had commercials wrapped inside of it. It was just very surreal, and then it was over.
What we didn't realize, and you never really do, is the promotional campaign struck a chord. So from day one, CSI exploded right away.
I got a call from Les. I can remember it was about 10:30, 11 o'clock, and he called me at home and said, you're a hit. This is amazing.
Now, when they told me the numbers, I said, is that good? And they said, this is great. This is fantastic.
We all woke up like at 5 o'clock, 5:30 the next morning and started, called the CBS ratings hotline to see our numbers, and then started calling each other.
Carol called me in Ohio to tell us our ratings. And I was a little shell-shocked. I said, that's high, isn't it? She goes, that is high.
Surprised at the number is an understatement. I called the ratings line twice. A half hour after I got the ratings, just to see if they were revising the numbers. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody.
Let's get out of here and get some breakfast. It's on me. I had such a strong belief in the show from the moment I read the script. I really had a very strong feeling that this show was going to be a big hit.
We're fortunate to have shared in the success of what I think has been a historic show for not only this network, but for TV history.
I'm proud that we managed to create a family in a very short, very pressurized place. I mean, I miss those guys. I'm not on the show, and that's what I miss.
I'm really most proud of the fact that we took a chance on an unknown writer, an unknown director, and changed television.
You know, we got to get all these really talented people together and create something unique and special that's still playing. I'm really proud that we were part of that and we were able to help put that together.
We've been doing the show now for 12 seasons, and I honestly believe that the quality of the show is as high today as it was first season, and that we haven't let down CBS or ourselves.
CSI changed the face of television. It changed the fate of the CBS television network. It brought us into major prominence. You know, obviously we're on a great winning streak, and CSI is a lot of the reason for that.
Knowing what I know today, back then I would have been completely paranoid. But I think I just didn't know any better, so I felt like, okay, well, let's just keep going. You know, this can go for maybe a couple of seasons, hopefully, and then it's just something really hard for anybody at any level to process.